I think we're ready to hear some Facebook ad insights and wisdom from you, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and I'll transition into here. This is something that um, I'm a big believer in Facebook ads. It's one of those things that, when I was growing my previous business, this is how we really did it. This was the key driver. I mean, every one of us has contacts. Every one of us has relationships that we can pull in, but after a while, you don't have unlimited relationships. And how do you, like, if you want to grow your business past a certain level, if you want to grow past this threshold, how are you going to get there? Well, you have to reach new people. And this means people that you don't know today. So you have to be able to get to that point where, I have to be able to expand my reach, my audience. And advertising is and continues to always be the best way to do that. And Facebook is basically still, even though I'll just reserve my commentary, but I don't want to have us get banned or anything because you know how that works. But
they're the place where we put our billboards now, really, right? I mean, at least no matter what you think or feel about a platform, it is what it is. I mean, it's funny. I've been reading a book that's 35 years old. I just started reading it today, and some of the stuff the author was talking about in his business building. It was funny to me because I was thinking about this is the pre-Twitter, pre-Facebook, all the pre-social media internet, and how did they build these businesses way back in the day? And so it's just shifted to online, right? Is really what it comes down to.
Right. And so, I mean, this is a great way to do it. If you want to learn how to really grow your audience, if you want to know how to really get your products, and once you get your funnel up and running and really going well, if you want to learn how to really make this home and how to make it go, this is how you scale. This is how you do it. And the reality is that not every ad works. And this is true for all of us. None of us turn on the ad machine and have it work every time. I mean, as you get more skilled, your odds of it working every time go up dramatically because you learn how to play the game. You learn how to I don't do that, do this. You learn certain things along the way. But what we're going to be talking about today really is how do I, if I run an ad and there is a level where it didn't get me the result at the level that I wanted. How do I know what I did wrong? How do I know what adjustments I need to make so that I can make it work? How do I get there? Because this is a big step in here. Too many people will run an ad and it didn't get them the result that they wanted. So they just say, well, Facebook ads don't work, or I can't do it. Well, that's not true. Right. You just have to learn how to do it. You have to learn the technique, skill, and all that, because it is a skill. It's absolutely a skill. It's something that you have to learn how to do, but you have to learn how to play. And this is a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. It is we want to be able to learn how to play this game. How is it when you start this that you can adjust so that when I run an ad, if I didn't get the result that I was going for, how do I edit it? How do I get this working to the point where it will get me the result that I'm going for? So this is kind of like the 3 secrets on how you do that. There's really 3 areas to go to fix any Facebook ad campaign. And that's kind of, again, you run an ad, you're going to get a result, you're going to get some data, you're going to learn how it went, and then you're going to say, well, what do I do now? How do I fix this? How do I tweak it to make it improve to the point where now it's starting to generate a profit for me? So when you go through this, you're going to realize, again, because a lot of times you can look at it, you can look like it's complicated, it's complex. How in the world am I going to do this? Well, there's really 3 things that you need to look at. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. There's 3 main factors that are really going to be the main determining success of your ad campaigns. And that's, you can think about it, these are the 3 big levers. Other people will talk to you about other things as well, but I look at it and go, the main things you want to focus on are the big levers. You can adjust the small levers too, and they'll get you some minor tweaks and possibly minor improvements. But these are the 3 big levers that are actually going to move the needle and make this work in a big way for you. So The three components, the first one we're going to talk about is the ad creative. Now, what is the ad creative? This is the text of the ad and the image and video of your ad. So in other words, if I were on Facebook and you ever see a post in your news feed that says sponsored, that's the ad creative. That's the post. That's the stuff that the public is actually going to see. This is the messaging and the text and the image or the video, depending on how you constructed your post. This is what's being shown to the public. So this is the communication tool that's actually connecting you to the public. So this is one of the first things we need to look at. We need to know, did we do a good job of creating an ad that connected with people? Do we know if that ad spoke to our audience and they engaged with it well? So how do we do this? We go into our ads manager and we're going to click on the ads tab. So you see that in here, there's an account overview, campaigns, ad set. The last one on the right is going to be this little thing called ads. And we want to click on that because that's where we go to look at the actual ad creative, where we actually did that. And then when we review the performance of it, you're going to see all these different categories that you can look at, your edits, your results, your reach, impressions, so on and so forth. These are all sorts of data tracking columns that Facebook will give you that help you judge how your ad did. Well, here's the ones I want you to really think about. You don't need it. All of these are useful, but again, there's some main key metrics that we need to be looking at when we look at these types of things. The first one is results. Now, results are, let's say you're running an ad and you want people to opt in for a live training, a webinar, something. You want them to put their name and email address in for something. So the results are how many times. So you set up a campaign that's set up to get conversions, to get people to actually give you their contact information. So results are really the number of times your ad achieved an outcome based on the settings and objective you selected. So if you just want people to click on a page, how many clicks did you get to that page? If you want people to opt in, how many times did they opt in? If you want people to purchase, you're sending them to a sales page and you want them to purchase, how many people purchased? How many times? So depending on how you set your ad at the beginning, how many times did you actually get the outcome that you set at the beginning that this was you wanted? So this is really important. So you can look, so if you have multiple variations of your ad, like I have an ad with this image, and then I create a second version with that image, and I changed the third one, had a little bit different text to it, that type of thing. How many times did each one of those ad variations do the job? How many times did they actually get me the result I was going after? And that becomes really important. Then also, how much did it cost to get that result? So let's say I got, I was going for registrations. I'm doing a webinar and I want to get people to register for the webinar. How much did it cost me to get that registration? Now, the first version of my ad may have cost me $7 for every webinar registration. The second version of my ad may have been $5 per registration. The third one may have been $3 per registration. Now I'm getting a feel. Oh, wait. The first one was, the third one was twice as effective as the first one. So I should stop using that first ad and focus on the third ad, because that was the one, that image, that text connected and did a much better job of getting people to take action. So these are the things you look at this, you try and figure out what, and that's why whenever you do run ads, you want to make sure that you don't just run one ad with one set of copy and one image. You want to mix it up and give yourself a little bit of variety in there, so you can test different text copy. You can test different images, because you want to have some different results. You want to know what is getting you the result and what isn't. So we're trying to find out how many times did they get the result and how much did it cost to get the result. Now, as well as we're looking at those result numbers, we also want to pay attention to the reach numbers. And I didn't list that one in here as much, but the reach number also becomes a little bit important, because not each version of your ad copy is going to get shown equally. So version 3 of your ad copy may have been shown 500 times, version 2 may have been shown 300 times, and version 1 may have been shown 1,000 times. Well, now that really distorts the numbers, because the first one cost you $7 a lead, and it got shown twice as much as the third version. So we want to pay attention too, because the numbers don't, always aren't balanced and equal, because Facebook doesn't always show them in equal. They just don't show them in equal batches. So we want to make sure that we're understanding how many times each ad is actually getting shown. And then there's this little thing, which is a little bit lesser, but it's an interesting thing. It's an engagement measurement. So it's called quality ranking. And this is something that Facebook does. Once you get a certain level of of impressions and reach on your ad. So if your ad gets, I believe it's like 1,000, if you get at least in front of 1,000 people on your ad, Facebook will give you what they call a quality ranking. Now, it's very general. It doesn't give you a lot of information about it. It just says above average, average, or below average. So, kind of like almost like a pass-fail type thing. But it just says basically how well, compared to other ads, compared to other things that are running on Facebook, how did your ad do in terms of getting people to engage with it? Was it above average? Did more people engage with your ad than they did on the average ad? Or were you below average? Did you get less engagement? And engagement means how many times did people click like? How many times did they share it? How many times did they comment on it? How much just engagement and interaction did people have with the ad? Or were they just constantly scrolling past it and not engaging with it? If that happens a lot, your quality ranking goes down. Again, this is an indicator of what did your ad actually, did it connect with people? Did your message resonate with the audience that you were showing it to? And then the last one is how many times did they click on that ad? Again, if you have different versions of your ad and you're sending people to a registration page or to a sales page, how many times did they actually click that specific ad to go to that page? Again, all of this is letting you compare. And that's why you always want to have multiple variations of your ad copy, images and text, so you can test and you can find out, this one did a lot better than that one. That one did a lot better than this one. So you start to learn, well, I'm not going to use that image anymore because it didn't perform as well as this image did. And you start to do these variations, which start to help you dial in as to which ones are working and which ones are not. And you can turn off the ad copy that isn't working and send all the traffic to the ad version that is working the best. The next component in here is the targeting. So once we look at our creative, we know, is our messaging getting engaged with? Is it getting good results? The second question we have to ask ourselves, are we showing our ads to the right people? Because again, I can have a really good message, I could be communicating it well, but if I'm showing it to the wrong audience, I'm still going to have trouble. So this is the second part of it, is we need to look at our audience. We need to make sure that we're getting in front of the right people, because different groups of people have different interests. They have different problems that they're looking to solve. Your product or service will not appeal to everyone. No one's product or service does. And we all need to come to grips with that. So we need to do the best job possible of getting our ads in front of the right people. So when we go back into our ads manager, this time I want you, instead of clicking on the ads tab, I want you to click on the ad sets tab, which is the one right next to the ads tab. And when you look at that, what you're going to see is, again, all below that, you're going to see all these columns of all these different tracking data that Facebook is going to provide you for how your ad performed. Again, how did this audience respond to the message that you put out there? And again, when you do this, I really recommend, as long as you have a little bit bigger budget. I mean, if you're only spending $50 or something on an ad anyway, it's kind of hard to create multiple targeting audiences because your budget just isn't big enough. But as long as you're spending a little more than that, you can split your audiences. So I'm going to say I'm going to send half of my traffic to the first audience, the first group of people that I want to target, and I'm going to send the other half of my traffic to the second group of people, because both of these are important. And I want to see who responds better. Did audience A or did audience B? Which one of these two is engaging with this message? Which one is the better audience for me? So, and then as we look at that, as we look through those results, how much did it cost to get a result from each of these targeting groups? So I can, again, we looked at this from the ad copy side, but we also want to look at this from the ad targeting side, because these two work hand in hand. Again, if we got to make sure that we're talking to the right audience. And if we see the first audience that we targeted, the cost to get a result, like for a registration for a webinar, was way higher than the second audience. Well, that tells us something too. Well, shoot, maybe this first audience is not as good as the second audience. Maybe the second audience is much more in tune with what I'm offering and the messaging that I'm putting out there. So I need to shut off the first audience and focus completely on the second one. That's the types of thing that we need to be looking at here. And we want to look at the number of people, the reach, because this will come into play too. Not every bit of your audience is going to get exactly the same amount of exposure. So when we look at these numbers, we've got to make sure that, like if the first audience only got to 500 people total, there's only 500 people who saw the ad, and the second audience got to 2,500 people, we need to remember that this is not apples to apples anymore. And Facebook doesn't always show things evenly. They will, for whatever reason that their algorithm determines, favor one audience that you select over another. And so they'll give more of the traffic and more of the ad reach to one audience versus the others. And so we really want to make sure that we're understanding, okay, the first ad may have gotten 10 results and the second ad targeting may have gotten 20 results, but then how many people did each of them get shown to, because they're not going to be the same number of people. So that's where the cost per result kind of balances that out. We want to know like how many for the number of people that we showed it to, which one got the best result. But we want to look at that reach number, because that's going to impact it as well, because we want to know, like, well, the first one didn't get any results. Well, it was only shown to 200 people. That's probably why I didn't get a result, because it didn't get out there enough. And so that is impacting your information. Now, the last thing, and this is the one that a lot of people don't think about, they don't consider it, because when they're thinking, what do I do to make my ad work? And they're thinking only the ad part. They're only thinking the ad manager. They're only thinking about what do I need to do in my ad? Well, there's a third part of it, and that's your landing page. Okay, so maybe we are targeting the right people with our ad, and maybe we are communicating well with that ad. But if that landing page we're sending them to isn't connecting with people, we're still have a chance here that we're falling off the cliff. So we want to look at what percentage of the people who went to that landing page actually took the action you wanted them to. So again, if we're sending people to register for a webinar, how many of those people actually registered? How many of those people actually signed up and did the thing that we were trying to get them to do? So again, this is, we may be getting there and we're speaking to the right people with a really good message, but when they get to the landing page, they look at it and go, not interested, or not compelling enough. No thanks. And then they bail there. And then we think our ad didn't do well. Well, the thing that really didn't do well was the landing page wasn't compelling enough. It didn't move people to take action. And that's where your ad can fail as well, if we don't have this messaging done well on the landing page. Now, that again, if your ad is solid but your registration is poor, it'll make your ad appear to underperform when it's really not necessarily the ad. And if you're running conversions, in other words, there's an objective that you can select inside of your ads manager, and you're saying, I want to run conversions. I want to get people to convert, i.e. to take an action like to sign up for a webinar. I want them to convert. And if we're setting our objective as conversions in the ad manager, and we're getting less than 20% opt-in rate, and we looked at our ad and we looked at our ad set, our audience, and those look pretty decent, but we're not getting many people registering, that means our registration is a problem. That means if we're under 20% at that point, that means, yeah, we need to do some work on the registration page, because that's where people are falling off and they're not doing it. So we may be getting people there, but they're just not taking the action because it's not strong enough. So how do we fix that? How do we get that landing page to improve? First thing you need to look at is your headline. There are two things that always need to go into a headline. The headline needs to be benefit focused. In other words, if I read that headline, I'm going to ask myself the question, what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of this? Why should I be interested? So if I read your headline and there's not a clear and compelling benefit for me to read on and to learn more and to get further information out of it, you probably already lost me. Second part of it is, did I create curiosity? Now, if you give me a headline and I go, oh, yeah, I know what that is. Oh, yeah, I've seen that before. Oh, yeah, this isn't anything new. I may get the benefit, but I have no curiosity to find it. I have no curiosity to actually engage with it. Well, that just means I also lost them. So your headline always needs to be doing those two things. It needs to be stating a clear benefit, and it needs to be creating curiosity in the mind of the readers. So they go, this sounds interesting. This would really help me, and I would like to learn more about what this is. That's what you need from your headline. So it pulls people in and engages them to read the rest of the copy. And then on the page, there should be bullet points, which are going to state benefits. And are those benefits clear and compelling? In other words, too many times I see people write bullet points and their features rather than benefits. They're going to say what it is rather than what it does. And your bullets, the thing that you list on there, when you talk about why someone should take this action step, why should they opt in, why should they buy, why should they do the thing that you're asking them to do, are those benefits clear and compelling? Are they really telling me this is why I should do this? This is why I should take action. If they're not like clear, if it's a little confusing or a little fuzzy, or if they're just not strong enough, if you look at this and go, yeah, I guess so. But again, compelling means it speaks to a major problem or a major concern in my life. If you tell me, like, I'm going to do this for you, but then I look at that and go, yeah, that's really not that important to me. That's not a big issue in my life. It's not something that I'm finding critical in my life. That means it's not compelling enough. It needs to be addressing a need that people are saying, yes, this is important to me. This is very significant to me. And the benefit of it is very clear. Yes, I watch this. I want to get this because this is going to really help me. And this is something that I very much need. The last thing is the call to action clear? Sometimes people read a page and like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. Is it clear? Does it say very clearly, enter your name and email to watch the trading now? Do this to, get the thing. Is it clear? Do we understand it? Because again, these pages don't have to be super complicated. They don't have to be complex, but they need to be powerful. They need to move people and show them a reason why they should do the thing that we're asking them to do. There should be clear and compelling reasons for them to take action, and it should be clear. It should be easy to understand. Yes, I want to learn this. Yes, I want to receive this. So here's your next step. Take this step. Enter your name and email, hit enter. There you go. And those are the things that you need to be looking at on your landing page to make sure that when you're looking at that, have you done these three things? Have you done these things on your landing page? And if not, if you look at it and go, well, maybe I'm not as clear as I should be, or I'm not as benefit focused as I should be. I'm not making it compelling that people really see the need and the reason why they should do this, then that's where you need to focus your attention. So again, the three things you need to do: am I communicating well to my audience and my ads? Am I talking to the right people? Am I targeting? And then the last thing is, once I get them to the page off of Facebook onto my page, have I given them the right reasons to take action? Have I moved them in a direction that it's like, yes, I want this, and this is what I really want to engage with into. And if you focus on those three things, these are the big levers. If you focus on those three things, you can make a tremendous difference in your ad performance. Hands down, over and over. These are the things you need to do to be able to get an ad that may not be working and get it to become a profitable ad and allow you to scale and grow your business. So that is.
April called me out for not smiling. I'm like in the zone. I'm like learning, like this is so much, right? I mean, it's so important. We've had some great questions kind of popping up as you're teaching, David, because I think that, like I said at the beginning, there's so much to learn or to really understand around that. And there's so many variables, and you pointed those out even within those three. Here's a couple of great questions. April was asking, how many followers do you need, or or how many do you need to have before you start your Facebook ads, or does that even matter?
Does not really matter. You don't need what you need is your Facebook page, because and again, obviously, if you have some followers on it, it's a good thing on your Facebook page, because it shows you have some social proof. So if somebody clicks on your name or on your page title and they go to your page and they see there's 0 likes on this page, there's 0 fans, okay, there's 0 content here. Well, that's kind of a like, what is this? So, but I mean, I'll be honest with you, when I see an ad on Facebook, I don't typically do that. I mean, I'll read the ad and go, does this interest me or does this not interest me? And so it really ultimately doesn't even matter that much, because this is going out and just getting a message out to an audience that you wouldn't have reached to anyway.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So yeah, and to your point, what you said at the beginning, it's really about reaching new people. So, you know, your current followers, you've probably tapped out of even sharing your offer and opportunity there with them in a lot of ways, like you said. But so now you're trying to go beyond that anyway. She also asked, how much money does it cost to run Facebook ads so that we know how to play the game and invest and adjust properly? You mentioned at one point, $50 might not be enough to give you the split testing that you might want to look at some things. So what is the kind of dollar amount where you start to be able to really start to test some things reasonably?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a little bit of relativity to that answer, because it depends on the type of offer that you're making. If you are running people to an opt-in, like I want to get people to opt in to a webinar or to register for a webinar or training, I want to get them to opt into something. You could probably do that for $100. I mean, and this is stuff that you can do, but you need to get enough data to know if it really worked. And sometimes I see people run ads for $20, $25, and I'm like, okay, I appreciate that you're running an ad, but goodness gracious, this is so thin that you're really not getting enough data to even know if it worked or not. You need to get enough data. Now, if you're sending people to something that's going to be for like a high ticket item, that's going to be like a couple $1,000 purchase price, you probably need to spend a little bit more than that, because getting people to buy, it can take a little bit more to get good data to even know, did it work? Did I get enough? Because, if again, opting in is a lower ask than purchasing is. Like if you're sending people to like a recorded webinar and your ultimate objective is, I want to get people to buy. I want to get people that are going to make a purchase here and are going to actually buy the thing that I'm offering in the training. Well, then that ups the budget some. And again, it depends on the price point, but you probably need to go a little bit higher, because now the ask is higher. And again, it takes more people seeing it to actually say yes to it than it does just to opt in. Like $100, you can get enough data probably to know that you're getting enough opt-ins. Like, okay, the cost to get an opt-in here is reasonable. I'm getting a good result. To get people to buy, that's a higher ask. And you're in the $100, again, depending on what your offer is, that may be a little too light. And again, and this is all, we all have to step our way into it. We got to try and this is why in the early days, you don't blow extra money until you're really ready. You try and get as many sales as you can on your own. And then as things move forward and keep progressing, that's when you start putting your toe in the water and scaling up with ads.
Yeah. Well, it's great because Brandon just shared, and I talked to him online this past week. His wife, June, just launched her book on Sunday. And so he's got a great question. But one of the things he did share is that Facebook was running an offer last week to spend $100, and then they'll give you 200 credit for your next run. So Facebook's even trying to help, because they know that if you can be successful, you're going to spend more money with them to keep advertising. So, but to his question, for unknown authors, like, she just launched her first book, would you recommend the landing page to be the author's site, info, video, or direct to the purchase page on Amazon if the goal is to drive sales? Is there a specific way to do that well?
Well, here's the thing. I would really not. I wouldn't run ads to send people to an Amazon page. I just wouldn't. I don't think because here's the reason why is that for us to be able to track whether or not somebody actually does the thing that we've asked them to do, we use this thing called a pixel code. And it's just this little piece of tracking code that we put on our sites. And that code, then every time somebody clicks on the ad and lands on our page, it sends a little signal back to Facebook and say, yay, somebody actually got here. Like the traffic you sent got here, and it sends a signal back. Yes, it was successful. The person made it to the page, or the person made it to the thank you page, which shows that they opted in. Now, when you're sending to Amazon, you're not allowed to put pixel code on Amazon site. They don't want you going into their site and putting code on their pages for pretty obvious reasons why they don't let you do that. But so you have no way of tracking things on Amazon. So, and again, I would really recommend always sending, if you're going to do any kind of traffic, always send it to a page that you control. Because now you can put things on it, you can control the information, and again, you can control, and you could understand so much better how the data is working, because you can set up the ability to track things.
So in that case, having a book page, a sales page for the book on their website, where it's going directly there, would be the best option. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean,
learn more about the book.
Ultimately, I feel like I will tell you what I'm going to say. A book funnel is absolutely the best way to do it, because then you can actually control it and offer upsells in the process as you go through it, as you get people there. The thing that, again, is important, like when you send it to a third-party site, you have no control, and you can't offer an upsell. It's all on their system now. So yes, I would definitely recommend sending it to your own page. Again, the challenge with sending it just to buy a book, even if it's on a page that you control on your site, and you send it to even just send it to my page where you talk about the book, and then even if it's to buy on Amazon, the hard part of that is most people only make $2 or $3 or so per book sale on Amazon. So if you are spending, $5 to get somebody over to buy a book, and you make $2, $3 on the sale, it's difficult. It's difficult to make that math work. You're in the hole. Yes, you can do it, but you may spend $5 in ads to get a sale, and you don't get enough revenue back to justify it.
Yeah, those are to me, and I think that's all the variables, right? That I think people, we're trying to figure out, along the way. And, like I know at least I'm pretty sure in Brandon's case with his wife, with launching their book, it's like, it's a children's book. It's not part of a, I don't think they have a course or anything attached to it at this point, or coaching program. So, that is their product, right? And other people have different types of products here in this group, might be physical products that they sell. It might be even, I was even thinking about it. People are like involved in kind of network marketing businesses. And I know one of the things I'm seeing more popularized are, getting private Facebook groups set up so they can educate, about their products that they offer and everything in there, because I know there are different restrictions with different companies on what they can actually do online or how they promote or market there. But, I think, I was even thinking about that while you were talking, David, is, doing ads to just get to a group where you can learn about the person or the product or their services. That's an option too, to create an ad to get them there so they can hear more too first, right?
Right. Yeah, that's another way of doing things. Like, you can run an ad if you want to do a Facebook group. You can run an ad to get people to join a Facebook group. You just have to look at that from a little bit longer term investment perspective, because then you're not asking people to buy anything or even enter directly into a funnel at that point. But what you're doing is building an audience. And again, part of being able to be successful is having an audience. And again, if you have an audience of 10 people, or if you have an audience of 10,000 people, well, where do you think your chances of making a few sales are better? So that's where you can run an ad. If you start your own Facebook group, you can run an ad to get people into the Facebook group, to, again, for the right kind of people, get that audience growing. And then as you serve that audience, you can make offers along the way, and then that will help you grow your business.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, and I think like what you just put, the features and benefits part, right? I think
Right.
it's so easy to get things mixed up there and trying to, we in a sense, I think at least for myself, and I think I speak for a lot of people, we get so lost in the weeds a lot of times with the features of what we put together, whether it's a book, a product, or whatever, that we kind of forget about the what's in it for me thinking that consumers are looking for. And we all do that. Like if, I think I've thought about this, David, that when I go shopping or when I see an ad, what am I thinking about? But then it's like I change the rules when I'm trying to promote my, like
Yeah.
like people
You're
should
not
act
thinking about yourself
differently.
on the other side, right? No, no,
Yeah.
that's yeah,
So it's just very interesting that this is the type of stuff that becomes challenging in advertising and marketing. Is just, you have to hit people where they are, their those desires, those wants, those needs, um, and trying to help them understand that your thing, whatever it may be, can help them with that. And so this has been great. I'm really excited. Once again, guys, this is like top of the waves. Obviously, I mean, there's so much drilling down that you could do, and even just like when you're showing the ads manager, David, like there's so many tabs and so many things, So we want to encourage you all to get in there and explore those and start even kind of looking around and just trying to get a feel for what's in those ad managers so that you even know the language, that the terminology that can help you as well, because familiarity will help us at least answer some of those questions as we're starting to experiment.